the naval or the navy power or the naval power is last in the escalatory metrics in any kind of war?
Yes, because of that reason, yeah.
Okay.
So the number of beds are not for everybody to sleep at the same time. The ships doesn't sleep. There is always somebody on watch. I believe Ops Sindoor gave a lot of opportunity for our Indian firms, our Indian products, to face the battlefield and get combat resilience, human and unmanned working together. The end result is going to be unmanned and unmanned working together. So that's the future which I see, and I see it growing at a very fast pace.
Jai Hind everyone. So today we have got a very interesting guest. He is Commander Rahul Verma. He is from the Indian Navy. So he is a pilot. He has flown the Sea Kings, and most importantly, he is an expert in UAVs. So we have got, like we have seen a lot of podcasts for in terms of Army and very few in terms of Air Force. But there will be very hardly any podcast where we get someone from the Navy so that we can understand what naval power is all about, what Navy can do in future warfare. Also, he is my course mate from National Defense Academy. So welcome, Rahul. Welcome to Offstream Talks.
Thanks, Ranjul. It's been long that we connected, and nice to see you running a podcast, trying to educate our people, because video has become the new, I will say, new reading in today's world, and people like to interact and see stuff to learn about it. And thank you very much for hosting me. I'm not a kind of an expert. Yes, I have flown a lot of few of these unmanned systems and manned systems, so I consider myself a learning guy rather than an expert. So that's how I want to begin.
No, absolutely, and thanks, and great to connect after so many years. So before I go into your background, okay. So first I want to ask, like we have, which is ongoing, not concluded, but Ops Sindoor just happened, and it was from May 7th till 10th, and I was going through the press briefing of the DG Naval Ops, Vice Admiral Pramod, and where he said his statement that we have quantitative and qualitative edge over Pakistan, and Indian Navy's action is part of the escalatory matrix which has been decided amongst the three services. And also, most importantly, he said that this time, if Pakistan does something or takes any action, Pakistan knows what we are going to do. So I wanted to ask, what is naval power, and what did he mean by this?
All right, that's a pretty interesting question in today's scenario, and a lot of people have been asking about it. So Vice Admiral Pramod sir is a seeking aviator, so I am very proud that one of us is sitting at the helm of affairs and handling the situation when this Pahalgam terror attack happened. See, what he means that Indian Navy has a very capability to respond swiftly, effectively to threats, reinforcing the India's commitment to its national security and deterrence against any kind of aggression. Right? Now, your question from there, I will move on to why Navy is always a silent service. You must have heard this term naval dope in academy and all that. We used to talk about it. But Navy has always been a silent service. That's because traditionally, Navy's ethos includes strategic restraint, quiet deterrence, and a low profile execution. Okay. Just to again try and explain you that we are the only service which are allowed to hit civilians. When I say civilians, you have heard about in Second World War, a lot of warships are hitting merchant vessels. By hitting merchant vessels, you are breaking the back of an economy of a country. 75% of the trade happens through water. And if I block your ports, your trade stops. Right? Having said that, in today's geopolitical context in Indian Ocean region, Indian Navy is a silent service which is now evolving to become a more visible and a smart power. Okay. Right? This gives you a background why we don't speak too much. However, we are very strategically vocal. When a fleet enters an area, it is a sovereign piece of land of that country. So when my warship goes to any friendly port or anywhere, rules of my country are still valid in my piece of 180 meters or 150 meters or 100 meters of ship. We are technologically visible,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
All our stuff is very, very highly technical. Missile systems, radar systems, ESM system, you name it. The Navy adopts it first and implements it. Okay. And lastly, we are diplomatically engaged. We are
Okay.
the military diplomats of a country when we go. So when we go to a different port, we are allowed to wear a uniform in that country. So if we are visiting US or UK, our sailors and men are wearing the national uniform of a country. So we represent India wherever we go, right? So
Understood.
that talks about our silent service. Now the question is, what is naval power, right?
Yeah.
Naval power has a definition. So it says it's an ability of nation's navy to project influence, defend national interest, assert control over maritime domain through the use of ships, submarines, aircraft, and any other naval. Okay, so
Hmm.
we are a three-dimensional service, and we work like that
Okay.
over the sea, under the sea, and in air. Okay. Uh, there are different kinds of elements of naval power. Maybe we can have a chat on that, depending on whatever. But I hope you understood what the naval power is all about.
Understood. I just wanted to add to this, like, how is Indian Navy as compared to the Pakistan Navy? From taking from the DG Naval Ops last statement that Pakistan will know it if they do something else from now on. Means
Okay.
how powerful are we?
So it's not the question of powerful. Powerful is a comparative statement,
Yeah.
right? It's always between two. I will go back to 1971 when INS Nipat's missile, and I was the executive officer of INS Nipat in later days. So I've heard this killer squadron hitting the Karachi harbor, doing audacious
Yeah.
runs of missile. So it's machines and technology is one part of it, and the man behind the machine is the second part of that,
Of
right?
course.
Comparatively in size, we are much bigger than what the Pakistani counterparts are because our concepts are different. When I say concepts, I would have to go back to the naval power again, once again, to try and explain you that how there's a difference between both the navies. We have aircraft carriers, right? They have submarines. So
Yeah.
it's like sea control and sea denial. These are types of sea power. Okay.
Okay.
A sea control means ability to dominate a region of ocean, ensuring freedom of movement of our own forces and our own commerce.
Okay.
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 Whereas sea denial means to prevent an adversary from using the sea without necessarily controlling it. That like that ambush guerrilla tactics, right? You
Understood.
you keep fingering me, you keep troubling me, but you don't hold the control. So that's
Understood.
how it is different. Okay, they have
Okay.
some submarines, we have counter submarines, we have mine. So it's a if you ask me theoretically, we are far much superior than them, and that's why when our DGNO made that statement, by the sheer number of missiles carrying ships, if we go by and comparatively, we will beat them in large numbers.
Understood. So is it that is why that the, the naval or the navy power or the naval power is last in the escalatory metrics in any kind of
Yes,
war?
yes, because of that reason. Yeah.
So now coming to your background, like again, हम लोग that means almost 2 decades ago we met in NDA.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so we were like for our viewers, we are in the same battalion. So we have got 4 battalions in NDA. So we are in the same battalion. That is the 4th battalion. I
No,
was
we
in
have
Mike's
five
squad.
battalions now. We have five
Oh, yeah,
battalions.
yeah, yeah. Recently we got a few lady cadets, like 17 for the first time. It's a history created.
Yeah.
17 lady cadets passed out from NDA.
Yesterday. Yeah.
And yesterday, yeah, yeah. So that was a proud moment, and it's a basically historic moment. So now I was in Mike's squadron in the same battalion. He was in Oscar's squadron. So after that, we never met because I was in the Air Force. We went out, and he is into Navy. He went on to for his training. So if you can get me to your background, how did flying happen, and thereafter how did drones happen, basically?
So Ranjul, we all joined academy, and I was in Oscar squadron. And this is my squadron T-shirt, green and grey, right? Kill the
Yeah,
prey.
yeah, absolutely.
That's
I
what we
know.
used to say. So
Yeah.
academy itself was a very learning experience. I come from a military background. My dad was in
Oh,
the army, and he was
oh,
commanding the 3-day signal regiment during Kargil war when we were in India. So he
oh, I
was
didn't know
part
that.
of. So my father was commanding that unit during Kargil operations in Kargil itself, and
Oh,
that's why I. However, having said that, we have the advantage or disadvantage coming from military background is that I just understand it better. The physical fitness, the routines, and everything remains
yeah.
the same. We have all gone
You're an
through it.
you are an army brat, huh?
Yeah, I can. You can call me that. I'm an army trap, but I'm a naval dope in the naval in
Naval
the
Power.
Indian lingo,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So went on to pass out from academy. Went to a ship called INS Steer, which is a training ship.
Okay.
Finished my training there. Went on to become a midshipman on board INS Mumbai, which was that commissioned. That it was a brand new commissioned ship, and we had our Parakram happening at that moment of time.
Yeah.
So it from one operations to other operations. That's how I evolved.
Okay.
Wanted to become a helicopter pilot. Wanted to fly actually. Didn't wanted to become a helicopter pilot per se. Wanted to fly. Once I started thinking of flying, you know how difficult it is to get into flying. You yourself have been in the Air Force.
So in
Is it?
Navy, like you can choose, right? Means I know for my viewers, I'm asking. So you
So
were
no,
not a Air Force opti initially. You joined the Navy. Thereafter, from Navy, you opted for flying.
no, it is not like this. So in the Navy, what you do, there are different competitions and everything, marking, and you have to be in top of your game, and
Okay.
then only you get an option to select and do something which you choose. Like so, somebody chooses a submarine arm, somebody chooses a marine commando arm, somebody chooses surface navy, somebody chooses an aviation. You have to be in that merit to get there. Thankfully,
Okay.
I was there in that merit to get an
Okay.
opportunity to do this thing, and I got moved on to flying. In flying, you have initial training in the Navy. On your rating and your performance, you go to
Don't
the
you
Air
come
Force.
to? Oh, okay. Don't you come for HPT?
We will come, but before that, we have a pre training in
Oh,
the
okay. Okay.
because
Okay.
there has to be a selection, right? There are
Understood.
a lot of
Understood.
people who compete, but there are limited seats for the Air Force.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you do that, and after doing that, you go up and come to the Air Force. There you fly the HPTs. After the HPTs, you get bifurcated, trifurcated, depending on what kind of performance you have done. The best in flying, best in ground generally opt for fighters, and I think so they deserve to go there because it's quite demanding because of the speed. I was mediocre in my results, so I had an option to choose between a fixed wing aircraft or a helicopter. Yeah, so I joined helicopters, and in helicopters, we moved on to the training happens in the naval environment, which is at Arakonam, where our training school, helicopter training school, is there. And
Okay.
we fly another 80, 85 hours of flying helicopters to get our wings, and then we get operationally deployed in wherever we are.
Okay.
So I moved on to my first transfer to Bombay, and within 3-4 months of getting my first white rating and my deck qualification, I moved on to Virat, and I stayed on Virat for 4 years. So
So you're posted in INS Virar.
November 2003 till February 2008, I was on Virat. I spent
So
a
tell me
long
some
duration.
experience here about how is it like staying in Virar?
So aircraft carrier is a city by itself. It never sleeps. It's always on the roll.
How big is it?
There's
How long is it? If you can.
I don't remember, but it should be around 180 meters or something like that. If I remember it correctly, I been long time, so I don't remember it, and I may be wrong. I could have to. You
No,
need
it's
to.
fine.
You
Absolutely.
need to
Yeah.
check. Yeah, that's okay. So we were these. We were at time I was flying the Chetak helicopters, and we were the search and rescue helicopter and the logistics aircraft of the Virat.
Okay.
And we had the Sea Harrier jump jets during our
Yeah.
duration of time. So the fundamental is the aircraft carrier is that before the first aircraft gets airborne from the deck, the SAR helicopter has to go to get airborne.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Of
we were
course.
the first one to get airborne and the last one to come back home. That's been
Okay.
a set routine for all the time I had on aircraft carrier. Whenever the aircraft carrier goes into a refit or something, then the helicopters start supporting the fleet, the destroyer, the frigates, and we keep embarking them. So it was, I had approximately around 1,000 hours of experience on the aircraft carrier, I joined as a novice, and I was fully deck qualified, night deck, and all other qualifications with me when I moved out of Virat. Yeah, it's a great learning experience for me.
I mean, how is the life like day to day, like breakfast, lunch, dinner, sleeping? How is it like living there?
So our briefings happen before sunrise
Uh,
because the first aircraft gets launched as soon as with the sunrise. All right.
okay,
So
okay,
then you continue flying different details. All your food habits and everything goes for a six because it depends on what time schedule you're flying at, what missions you're doing at. See, aircraft carrier depends on weight of attack. So you keep practicing how many aircraft can you get airborne at the same time, launch,
okay,
recover, how much impact can you do to the enemy fleet? If there is an attack from or a spy plane coming in how does my aircraft goes and intercepts that? So there is a lot of stuff which happens. Uh, Life at sea is difficult. It's not easy even for an aircraft carrier. The ship rolls, pitch, and yaws.
uh,
It affects the normal human
yeah.
life because we are not used to it. Some people vomit, some people feel nauseous, some people are not very comfortable, and some people like me are hungry. So I had the other kind of seasickness. I used to feel a lot of hunger, and I used to eat a lot when I was
Oh,
on
right.
board. So because of the stomach
Total.
movement and all that churning which happens.
Okay. So total, how many people are remain like approximately in a
So we have around
oh,
800 people on board. This
so many
is
cabins inside, huh?
not everybody gets a cabin, my friend.
Yeah, along with so many space to stay. Basically,
Yeah,
I
so
know.
we've got something called a hot bunking concept.
Uh,
A hot bunk means that the bed is always warm because somebody's already slept on it.
okay, okay,
So
okay.
the number of beds are not for everybody to sleep at the same time.
Oh,
The ships doesn't sleep. There is always somebody on watch.
okay, okay,
When I say watch, the ship is divided into uh, by 1/4. So there is always 25% of people always working.
okay, okay,
As the alert state keeps going up, the number of people working keep going up. So from 25,
okay.
50% will work. From 50, 75% will work. Then at highest alert, all 100% are working.
So your bed is always occupied by someone or the
Yes.
other.
Yes.
Okay, so it
That's the
keeps
term
repeating.
hot bunking.
Okay, that's nice to know. Okay, and so and what is the tenure you stay in a aircraft carrier?
So I was pretty lucky to stay for so long. But generally, a tenure is for 2 years. I did 2003 to approximately 4.5 years I was an aircraft
You
carrier.
sail for how many time?
So
How much time?
we generally sail for approximately 30 to 60 days on a stretch.
Then
On a
you come back.
stretch. Then you come
Then
back.
you are
Then you again do your minor repairs, some changes, some cable change, some oil change, all those activities, and then you again go out. So the maximum I've stayed at sea and length as a helicopter pilot is around 200 230 days at sea
okay.
in
Okay.
different ships, not only aircraft carriers but destroyers, frigate. So because as a helicopter, you are a fleet asset. That means
Yeah.
you're an asset not of a particular ship, but for the whole fleet.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's why you keep hopping as per the requirement and keep moving from one deck to other deck.
No, no. But what I want to ask is that now the aircraft carrier once it sails out, for example, say from Bombay, it doesn't come back to Bombay, right? It can go to somebody else,
Oh
someplace
yeah,
else also.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
what about you? Do you like you stay away from your parent station for so long, or you keep
Oh
coming?
yes, yeah. So that's why. So like I said, 230 days at sea. That's the
Okay.
maximum I've done in a year.
So now coming back to like how did drones happen?
So while I was doing pretty well in my streams, I had a small medical problem in between, and I was told to stop flying for some duration of time. And the Navy did not wanted me to go out of the aviation, so they gave me an opportunity to go to the unmanned sector, and
Okay.
which I was not very happy with to start with because hands-on control to video game was the mindset at that moment of time. But as I kept on growing and understanding and working with the unmanned systems, I was very clear that the future is unmanned. And if not today, tomorrow, the unmanned growth will happen in India too, which we see
Okay.
now. And so I'm talking about way back in 2010. It's long back.
Okay. So, and you specialized in which, like all this? Uh,
So I was very lucky to be trained in Israel by the
Okay.
OEM himself. So and I was also very lucky to be trained on also. I started as an EP, which is an external pilot. Thereafter, went on to become an IP, which is an internal pilot. Then I became a commander. Then I became a test pilot. That kind of stuff. So you do MTF, CTFs. So as you keep growing in your rating and experience, you keep doing bigger jobs. What advantages I had that the Navy had a concept of dual operator, so I also learned the payloads. So I became a observer, which is the guy who controls the radar, camera, special payloads. So I
Okay.
was able to do all this as a full package. So my logbook has pilot entries, observer entries, special payload entries, and mission
Okay.
commander entries. So it's full package, I must say.
Understood. So, do you have hours also? Is it
Yeah,
logbooks?
it's a logbook which is recorded. So to just give you a figure, so I have around 3,000 hours on helicopters, and I have around 2,700 or 2,500 hours on unmanned systems.
So yeah, drones. Like if you talk about drones, you need to explain basically like today for our viewers, like even those quadricopters which we use in weddings, those also come into the entire gambit of drones, and even the unmanned aerial vehicle or the unmanned combat aerial vehicle, those also comes in under the entire gambit of drones. So what is military drone all about? Means what are different types? Can you explain on that?
So, like okay, you rightly brought out that drone is a very common word, right? It's like
Uh,
surf or Nirma. It
yeah,
represents a class, washing
yeah,
powder, unmanned systems, right? So we call it drones. But drones are divided on the basis of use cases. Drones are divided on the basis of weight category. Drones
okay.
are divided on basis of endurance. Drones can be divided on basis of uh, which altitude which they fly at. So there are different ways of defining drones. Very simple way of saying it, it's a aircraft which flies with pilot not on board.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. And that's the simplest way to apply.
Okay.
Whether you want to do a remote. So if you remember in India we had a RC club, an aero modeling club, right?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So what is aero modeling? Aero modeling is flying an aircraft from ground. It is a drone, right? It was called an RC plane at that moment of time, remote control plane, right? So it
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
comes from that particular genre, and
Yeah.
there are different ways of different historical use cases where the drone became what it became, and the drone noise, that buzzing noise, is what the word drone comes from. The queen bee, right? Drone means a continuous. If you look at dictionary, the meaning of drone is to make a continuous low sound.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
All right.
Okay. Okay.
So, and also drone means a stingless male bee.
Oh.
So
Okay.
it
Okay.
comes it comes out from there, right?
Okay. Okay.
So there was a remote control plane which was used in Second World War, right?
Uh,
It was a military target aircraft, okay, and it was called DH, the Queen Bee,
okay.
and that's how the
Okay.
word evolved, right?
Understood.
But that's how I will say. And the military or civil world has drones from ranging from quadricopters or the wedding
Mm.
drone or the photographic drone,
Yeah.
going up to eVTOLs, VTOL, hybrids, to tactical UAVs, to mail UAVs, to hail UAV, to HAPS, stealth UAVs. You name it, you can do it, right?
Yeah. So like from because all of a sudden drones will say that drones only. So from the role of drones in the Ops Sindoor was huge. Like everybody came to know about it. One is that, of course, like on the first day of attack, also drones were used, which was like covered by our in the press brief, and thereafter we had this whole waves after waves after wave of drones, which are mostly Turkish drones, which are sent by Pakistan. Right. And on the first day also, apart from the attacks, there also role of photography and intelligence and all that. I think they provided real-time photography or the real-time attack of the entire operations by these drones were provided to the Indian Air Force. Right.
Right.
So after that, everybody started knowing what is drones all about, and everybody started becoming more and more interested. So we were mostly dependent on Israeli drones. What do you think about the indigenous drones, which came into light in the Ops Sindoor?
So, honestly speaking, the military per se wants to meet its task,
Yeah.
irrespective from where the equipment comes from. Okay.
Hmm.
Uh, our we are also growing nation and developing nation. So, and we believe in Make in India, Atmanirbharta. Hence, the defense forces also support buying indigenous equipment, whether it
Yeah.
is IDEX program, whether it is emergency procurement, whether it is some grant, or we have Meher Baba competition and all those things happening, right? To pick up indigenous content and bring it home and use it in the front line. I believe Ops Sindoor gave a lot of opportunity for our Indian firms, our Indian products, to face the battlefield and get combat resilience. Some succeeded, some failed, some did tremendous job. It's not right for me to comment on them, but what I can give you an answer is that every mission gets a lot of learning back. And
Right.
with this learning, our startups are going to work harder. Our organization will work even better to improve the drones and understand them so that they are, like you rightly brought out, Turkish standards or Israeli standards, which we say, they're not standard. They have a market. They've been selling it. Similarly, now, since our drones have tested blood, we will start getting demands for it from world.
So is your company also into drones and all that, where you're working now, or the previous ones?
So since I've been in love with the unmanned systems, I only work in this particular field, and my previous company also was in drones, and my present company is also in drones. We have a lot of products which we have offered to the armed forces, and that's what I will be able to say.
Okay, okay, understood. So now in Ops Sindoor, like we have heard, ki all these drones were controlled by AI and all that, artificial intelligence and the complementing the drone technology. What is your take on that? Yeah.
Okay, so see, if you want to remove the pilot or the man, you need to give the equipment intelligence, right?
Okay.
So whether you call it autopilot, if you remember in our days of flying, we used to engage autopilot and leave it, right? The aircraft used to do straight and level flight. Somebody was flying at the moment of time. You were not hands off. Machine was there.
Right,
Now with autonomy or artificial intelligence, you've been able to give more choice of decision to the aircraft, right?
right,
Real time path planning, obstacle avoidance, computer vision, pattern detection, threat
right.
classification, right?
Mm.
People talk about forming. What is forming? It is decentralized coordination, and
Okay.
that's when you operate multiple drones operate from a
Yeah,
single
how do you do
intelligence
that?
unit.
How do you do
So,
that? That's so.
so each and every bird is a sensor by itself and also a slave. It takes the input, what it senses, and sends it across to all other parameters. The algorithm binds them together. The decision is not mounted onto a single system. It's mounted on multiple systems. So that if
Okay,
in the action of probability your centralized system falls, still the swarm performs. Right?
okay,
Now the AI systems are also required because you want to stop jamming. They have to be adaptive to jamming. They need to
okay.
do diagnostics and onboard sensor fusion, etc. All these things are part and parcel of it. So that's why the AI is growing as big as what it can for what do you
No,
call
what I want to ask, like recently we had this Brian Adams show, okay, in Shillong,
right.
where there's like thousands of drones are taken up, or not drones, I think, like these are what quadricopters or whatever, and they made different designs on the
Right,
sky,
right.
right? So and it was controlled by a single console, or maybe I don't know,
Yeah,
like from
yeah,
a single.
yeah.
So this what happened in the Ops Indoor, like waves after waves. Does it
See, so
also?
forms are similar. What you just said,
Yeah,
all the shapes it makes in sky,
yeah.
that level, it is algorithm which is running it. It's a
Oh,
pre-programmed algorithm. When you
okay,
go to
okay,
battlefield, you have to remove the pre-programmedness and make it adaptive.
okay. Understood. So it
That
is
kind of
not
thing.
that okay. All are taken off, takes off at the same time. Basically,
Not
these
necessarily
thousands
they
of.
can have a waypoint meeting like the way the aircrafts operate. the drones can operate in similar manner. You
And
just
like
remove the human from the risk part.
understood, understood.
If when you used to talk about a package which used to fly in the Air Force, all those, that package
Yeah,
consisted of aircraft, various different kind of aircraft, different speed at different place coming in. It's quite similar to that. Only thing is you've removed the human from there, and you have given some amount of decision making to the AI. But there is always human on the loop,
yeah,
right?
understood.
You cannot remove the human. As of now, we have not reached a stage where the human is out of the loop and the decision is being taken completely by the aircraft.
Now, for example, like we have these drones, like the type of drones which we have in India, which is there in the open source, like Herons and Herops and Searchers and all that. They require one pilot to operate it, right,
Yeah,
from one system. Huh?
yeah.
So, but for these, like it is different.
So what happens is when I say one pilot, that means the pilot remains on the ground with the ground control station.
Yeah, that's
There is
correct.
a human on the in the loop, right? He is taking all the calls and decisions. When you put it
Yeah.
into autonomous mode, the human is out of the loop. He is even if he's not sitting in his chair, the aircraft is flying.
Yeah.
The decisions are being taken. So we are working towards a situation wherein a single human being can control thousands of drones because
Okay.
he will get priority indication that this drone needs to be interfered with or this decision needs to be looked at. So how intuitive is your ground control station makes that important.
Understood. No, I have like in while I was there in the Air Force, I have seen newly all these Israeli drones has were inducted in the Indian Air Force. So I have seen an entire setup
All
for
right.
a drone. Yeah. So, but it takes a longer runway to take off and all that, and also to land.
Yes.
All these like payload carrying
No,
capacity.
Ranjul, you have to understand their male class of UAVs. They will need a runway to take off.
Yeah.
These vertical takeoff, VTOLs, eVTOLs, or VBAT, which is a electric ducted fan kind of a system, they're all not the same. They're all different. You cannot generalize them.
So how much time does like in the Indian Air Force, like if you want to train a pilot, so you take the entire year from after NDA, 1 year in Air Force Academy, then another 6 months like for the fighters in the Hawks or like Kiran Mark twos and all that. Nowadays, I think it's Hawk. Then you go to the squadron and to becomes uh, Ops, it takes another 2 to 3 years or maybe even 4 years. So it's a long training period. How much time does it take for a someone to get totally ops in UAVs or UCAVs? Is it different, both of them?
Yeah, it is quite different. See, UAVs, again, like I said, is a very open word. A small drone will take 2 to 3 months to get trained upon. A male class takes around 8 months. A hail class will take more than a year to get trained upon, right?
What is Hail class?
High altitude, long endurance. The MQ-9B Predators and MQ-9 C
How much
Guardian.
is how
So
much
it
is
takes,
there in there?
they go up to 36 hours.
Oh my god.
And they
Okay.
fly at flight level 400 or flight level 350. So
Huh.
fly at very high altitude. So you need a year of training to get them a pilot to give up own individual missions. So yeah, it takes a lot of time. It's not a video game to start with.
Okay.
The
Okay.
smaller ones could resemble a video game, but they are not video games. Okay, anything
Understood.
flying in air has to be regulated. Uh, the situational awareness of the pilot is important because there are other flying objects in the air, right? So,
Okay.
so you need to get pretty high amount of training, and the smaller the bird, easier is the training. More autonomous it is, easier it is. But more and more human in the loop, you need more and more training for that. So it is less than a fighter pilot for sure. Uh,
Much different.
yeah, and skills level required are different from what is required for flying a fighter.
I'm sure like for the UCAVs and all, you must be having all lot of syllabus and all that, right?
A very long syllabus
Yeah,
and
of
a
course.
very tiring one too. Yeah.
Yeah, because it again these UCAVs or the UAVs do not fly in silos. The entire there's
Yeah, they
entire
fly along
environment.
while the other aircrafts are flying in air. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, I understand. So, like, why I wanted to ask is that, for example, during the Russia-Ukraine war, they got like say 12th pass outs or high school guys and trained them faster in like flying drones and all that because they were in need of these pilots.
Ukraine war and all those things. War is a different situation, right?
Yeah,
we cannot. It's not right to take lessons on training from an actual ops which is happening for such a long period of time.
Okay.
They're losing men, they're losing women, they're losing soldiers, both sides. It's not
Yeah.
only Ukraine, Russia too. So
Yeah.
learning training lessons should not be the right thing because it's more like a jugaad during the war rather than a syllabus based system, right? And the other particular part important is that the size of the drones also matters in learning.
No, I just wanted to ask, like, is our Agniveers also trained in drones and all? Will they be trained?
So I left the Navy when Agniveers were inducted, so I'm not very sure, but I'm 100% sure, like any combat soldiers who operate these smaller drones, the frontline FPVs and all that, Agniveers will definitely be trained onto it. So it is nothing to say that Agniveers will not be trained or something like that. It depends on what kind of drones are they flying, whether they are small 10-inch, 8-inch, 12-inch quadrocopters, or it going to start slightly bigger eVTOLs, longer range. So it depends on that.
Can a BrahMos be carried in a drone also?
Why not is the question.
Because it's 3 ton here. One BrahMos is close to 3 ton, they're saying. But
Okay, so
do
you
we?
have aircraft which carry that much amount of payload. You
Yeah.
look at Loyal
But
Wingmen.
eventually, they right. Yeah.
So
In
the
future,
Boeing Loyal Wingman program or the Avenger series from the General Atomics, they will be able to carry
okay.
payloads, right? It's basically your ability to carry it. Whether it is manned, unmanned, doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. So, like, why I'm saying is that now, what is the cost comparison between, say, like, we are like day before yesterday, the Air Force chief, you in the CII conference, he was asking for and he was telling about the AMCA, and the AMCA contract has been open, which is rightly open for the private companies also this time. So why I wanted to ask you this is that, like, should we have drones or should we have AMCA? If the drones can only deliver that kind of load and that kind of
No, no, no,
missiles.
no. So honestly, they're complementary to each other. The role of a fighter is very different from a role of a UAV or a UCAV for that matter of fact. It is
Yeah,
not right today to compare them. They're, they will work in conjunction or as a package. So that's why I use the word loyal wingman, right? The fighter will have an unmanned aircraft along with it doing all the roles which it wants to do. It will give him ability to take more risk because
yeah,
the unmanned aircraft is still unmanned. It doesn't have a human life in it. The stage when the whole fighter pilot will be replaced by unmanned UAVs and UCAV is still slightly far off.
yeah,
The AI systems are learning fast. They will take some time, but they will also learn from the existing fifth generation, sixth generation fighters and take that data set to create an autonomous pilot for this futuristic thing which you're talking about. But as of today, I think it is complementary, and we want the AMCA to be successful, and we also want the UCAV to work along with the AMCA.
like, are India also making UCAVs also, like, in
Oh,
or we have?
we have the two programs that DRDO is running.
Okay, no, no private as of now.
As of now,
Like,
no. The Ghatak and the Aura are the two programs which is being run. So it's being done by DRDO, by the government. As of now, the private companies are not working on
so
UCAPs
are these like purely Indian or like indigenous? Like,
program. It's a fully Indian program.
so when can we become, like our PM said, like Atmanirbhar? When can we become Atmanirbhar totally in drones?
So honestly, technology Atmanirbharta will keep changing its benchmark because the
Right,
technology keeps moving forward. So
right.
if you are telling with in regard to 2025 technology, when we'll become Atmanirbhar is some questions which academicians and all can answer. From technology's perspective, I'm not very sure that any country can become Atmanirbhar completely.
Understood. Understood.
We
But
will
what
need inputs from everybody else also.
No, no. What I wanted to say is, like, how big our industry is becoming. Because, like, of course, like 10 years back, it was nothing. From there till now, we have come a long way. And Ops Sindoor will give the necessary impetus now to grow this industry will grow further. So that is what I'm saying.
So I would like to just give you some idea of figures. So, civil drones in India is likely to grow at a percent of 18 to 20% CAGR, which is
Right.
working out to be around 4,000 crore annually for next 12 years.
And it will be all made in India.
Yes. And
Okay.
Indian defense require drones approximately 3,000 crores annually for next 10 years. That's approximate figures which we have. So
Right.
industry can understand that how much demand there is for drones across in our country.
Drones. Who makes this? Like Adani, Bharat Forge.
So there are around 600, 700 startups which are registered with Drone Federation of India. And there are
Okay.
big companies like New Space, Asteria, Tata's, Bharat Forge, Saga Defense,
Huh.
Reliance, Rafe. There are quite a few people who are doing a good job in this field, and not I. It is incorrect of my part not to take everybody's name. So I believe everybody is doing a great job.
So I also wanted to know, like, for the drones, right? Like, are now drones also used in, say, like suppression of enemy air defenses or de missions and all that
Oh yes, so we have different kind of drones with RF seekers and all those things, which do long
in
mission.
India?
Yeah,
Mm.
yes, in India, it is better that we leave it to that. We have seen in Ops Sindoor a lot of radar sites being destroyed of our Western
Yeah,
neighbor,
yeah.
and those were done by these kind of seed and deed mission capable unmanned systems.
What do you see the future roadmap of drones in the military,
I
both
see.
Army, Navy, and Air Force, and especially Navy?
So see that drones are going to be the future. Okay. In the Navy, especially, we all cover all three domains. So we have unmanned surface vehicles, we have unmanned aerial vehicles, and we have unmanned underwater vehicles. I see a
Underwater, yeah.
yeah. So I believe that we'll see a unmanned teaming very soon. Before that, we have MUMT, which is manned unmanned teaming, human and unmanned working together. The end result is going to be unmanned and unmanned working together. So
Right,
that's
right.
the future which I see, and I see it growing at a very fast pace.
That's great. Thanks, thanks, Verma, and
Thanks a ton, Mohammed.
great speaking to you, and all the best in taking India to become Atmanirbhar, and great chatting. We'll meet again.
Thank you very much. I'm just a small cog in the wheel, and I hope under the leadership of our Prime Minister, the country keeps growing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.